Weapons has been probably top five of my most highly anticipated films of the year. From director Zach Krager, who directed Barbarian in 2022, which is one of my favorite movies of the 2020s decade, like of the last decade in general. I know it's very polarizing. A lot of people don't like it. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I personally love it, but I'm here to tell you, if you hate Barbarian, you don't like Barbarian. A lot of people had issues with the second half of Barbarian. Fret not. Weapons is nothing like Barbarian. Completely different film. I personally believe Weapons is a better film than Barbarian, and that says a lot since I love Barbarian, which tells you I love Weapons as well. I'm already giving my thoughts and rating on this movie at the beginning of the review. 10 out of 10 for me. I saw the movie first on Friday when it first released. I was going to do the review then, but only saw it in regular format. I wanted to see it in IMAX, and I wanted to see it a second time before I got on here and reviewed it. So I did that on Sunday. Was it Sunday? Or was it Saturday? I don't know. I saw it this weekend. I believe it was Sunday though. I saw it this weekend in IMAX, and man, like just reinforced everything I felt about this movie after the first viewing. Heads up, this is a spoiler-free review. It's very difficult to do spoiler-free reviews a lot, especially with a film like this. But I don't even want to tempt someone to look up a spoiler review and they haven't seen the movie, because you should definitely go into this movie knowing as little as possible. Like if you have never seen a trailer for this movie and you just heard about it through word of mouth, like perfect, go see this. Like that's what I want. I don't want to put any spoilers in this, so I'll try to give like very little detail as possible, like just the plot basically, and my thoughts on the film. So this film has a not a large cast, but as far as like focus characters, it's a pretty big cast. But the main two seem to be Josh Brolin and Julia Garner, and the plot is basically 17 kids, one classroom in an elementary school. I believe it's fifth grade. In the middle of the night at 2:17 a.m., all get up out of their bed, walk out of their homes, run out into the darkness, and they're missing for about 30 days. And one thing I was curious about, well, I wasn't necessarily curious about it going into it, but the like going and right into the film, there isn't really much setup. The setup is basically exposition. You have a narrator at the beginning, which is a child, narrating the events that took place about the kids getting up out of the classroom and leaving, and then boom, you get right into it. Like the story has already started. The big event that sets off the plot for the rest of the film has already taken place. There's not a build up to it. So now you have 2 hours and 8 minutes of just this story. I thought that was very interesting, and later on I understand why they did it that way. This isn't a linear story. It's not told in a linear fashion. It's not told boom from start to finish. The story really takes place over the course of like 2 days, but you're following different characters. There's different stories. So you follow Julia Garner's character, who's the teacher. You follow Josh Brolin's character, who's a parent of one of the kids who went missing. Then you follow, I believe, four other characters. So it's six characters in total, six chapters in total that you're following. And for somebody like me, I'm usually not a fan of non-linear storytelling, but recently I have been. Like last year, a film release called Strange Darling, I went into pretty much knowing nothing. And I walked out loving it. It was one of my favorite films from last year, top five for me, 10 out of 10. And it was non-linear storytelling, and I could not imagine that story being told in a linear fashion and me enjoying it the same way. I don't know about this. I believe you could probably tell this in a linear fashion and I still enjoy it, but the way the chapters are set up, especially me seeing it a second time and noticing like, oh, okay, you start putting the pieces together with each chapter, like, oh, that took place here. There was a character who interacted with Julia Garner's character in the beginning of the film that I didn't even notice until my second viewing, because I didn't know that we were supposed to know this character during my first viewing of the film, because you don't meet him until later on. So when I went to see it the second time, I'm like, oh, they interacted the whole time, and I never even noticed. But the acting in this film is phenomenal. Julia Garner is phenomenal. I saw a tweet that said, man, these characters stole the show for me. And it was like 4 main characters. And it's like, that's most of the cast, brother. Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong is in this. Amy Madigan is in this, who stole the show for most people. There's cameos in this. Not very important, just, I guess, if you saw Barbarian, there's someone from Barbarian in this. There's someone that's very close to Zach Krager who has a cameo role in this. But as a horror film, I'm not a big horror guy. I really didn't start watching a lot of horror films until recently, in the last few years. And I know horror, not necessarily horror, like film itself is subjective. It's subjective. It's an art form. But being scared is subjective. Being scared to some people is going to see a horror film and getting constant jump scares. Personally, that's not me. It's just not me. I see jump scares coming for the most part, especially films that use them in like cheap ways. Like a lot of possession films do that often. The old Paranormal Activity films used to do that often. You kind of see them coming. There are a few that's like you see them coming, but it's still like, whoa. The It films, like each It film had a jump scare that I didn't see coming that was like fantastic. This one has some jump scares in it. I'm not saying it doesn't have jump scares at all. I think they were done well. They weren't done to just, how do I say, just for the sake of a jump scare. Actually, 2 of them they might have been, but you could argue that they're there to advance the story for the most part. I wouldn't even say this movie scared me. I would say it makes you feel uncomfortable. There's a lot of tension. Like there's a scene in this movie where a character is sleeping in a car and something is happening around them. And I went to see this twice, and both times while this thing is happening, people were laughing. Like, oh, this is funny. Oh, what the hell is going on? What the fuck is this? And then something happens, a door opens, and it's like, whoa. Like there's a big gasp throughout the theater, and it happened twice. I think that's fantastic on Zach Krager's part. I don't know if the beginning of that scene was meant to be humorous. It did look funny, but it was also kind of creepy. Like, and Zach Krager has a history and has a background in comedy, and there's some comedy in this film. And there's actually been, I wouldn't necessarily say backlash, but a lot of people have had opinions like, oh, this is more so a comedy than a horror. I completely disagree. I don't see that at all. Just because there's comedy in this doesn't mean, doesn't make it less of a horror film. But also, I think the comedy in this is different because the comedy in this doesn't necessarily seem forced. A lot of the comedy in this is just natural reactions to situations happening where you would most likely react the same way in real life. Like, these characters are reacting in such a manner, it's like, yeah, I probably would have done the same thing. Like, Josh Brolin has a scene in this movie where he just blurts out the most hilarious and well-timed "what the fuck" I've ever probably seen on film, to my memory. But I say all that to say the comedy in this worked for me. And it wasn't overbearing. It never killed any of the tension. The third act in this film has more comedy than the rest of the film, and I've seen a lot of people have issues with the third act, and I understand it. It personally worked for me. The only issue I had with it was, and this isn't even really a big issue, I would have liked some things explained more at the end. It kind of ends pretty abruptly. I would have liked things explained more, but they did give like very short few seconds, I guess you can call it an epilogue, explaining some things. I just wanted more. And I guess you could see that as a negative. That's a good thing. Like, your movie was so good that I wanted more from it. But I think it ended on a pretty good note for the most part. the third act is either gonna kill the film for you or it's gonna work for you. I've seen it both ways. Like I said, personally for me it worked, and I think it was a well-deserved payoff. I think the ending was a well-deserved payoff. I'll probably go see this film again, to be quite honest. And I think the first time I saw it, this movie is a slow burn, but it's not a slow film. You don't really feel the runtime like that. I believe it's 2 hours and 8 minutes. I could be shortening the film by a few minutes. I'm not sure. But the first time I saw it, the chapters did start to bother me a bit. But as the story progressed and I started putting the pieces together and the storyline started connecting, it got better for me. The second viewing, I went in knowing how the chapters would play out, and I was completely okay with it. Like, I couldn't wait. I was like, oh man, this chapter ends here. Can't wait to get to the next one. Can't wait to get to the next one. I don't think there was a single chapter, story-driven chapter in this film that felt like it shouldn't have been there. They all served a great purpose in the story. They all interconnected in some way, some form of fashion. I love this film, man. I love this film. I have a three-way tie for my three favorite films of the year so far. It's Weapons, Sinners, and F1. It depends on which day of the week or which week you ask me what my favorite is. But right now, I would have to say my favorite is Weapons, followed by F1 and then Sinners. And those two flip-flop a lot, to be quite honest. But man, I love this film. I'm trying to be as discreet as possible. Like I said, I'm trying not to get into spoilers. If you would like me to do a spoiler review, or a spoiler discussion. If you would like me to do a spoiler discussion on this film, like the video and leave a comment below and let me know that you would like to see a spoiler discussion. You could join in the discussion with me. But for right now, for this video, if you do comment, please leave it spoiler free. I don't want anybody being spoiled in the comments down below. But if you have seen Weapons, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you haven't, do you plan on seeing it? Did this review make you want to see it? If so, then I did what I set out to do. But that does it all for this one. I'll let y'all in the next one. Peace.